with Formula One, I can go anywhere I want. So we're going to go to 2010. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. For this 2010 Formula One story to really make sense, it has to start in 2008 when we had that global economic issue when we almost had a second Great Depression. However, Big Bang saved us because, you know, they're not supposed to fail. But I mean, it was really, really bad, to the point where even Formula One was affected. Big teams such as Toyota, Honda and BMW Sauber were affected, and all three of them pulled out the sport. With Sauber splitting off their primary sponsor BMW left. Honda pulled out the same season, which was replaced by GP Braun, who, as we know, in 2009 took over the entire season. Toyota used the last of their money just to last in 2009 before eventually leaving in before 2010. In their replacement with three new teams, these were HRT, Virgin Racing, and Team Lotus. These would go under different names. HRT before, in 2010, were just known as Hispanic Racing Team. Virgin would then turn into Marussia, and then would turn into Mana before leaving. And Team Lotus was Team Lotus, Caterham, and then left. But for this video, I can only go for one, so f*** it, let's do HRT. In the beginning, it wasn't even called HRT, it was called Campos Meta 1 in 2009. However, due to a lack of what everyone else didn't have, money, Campos never really set off, and so was bought by a Spanish company who changed the name from Campos to Hispanic Racing Team. So for 2010, HRT's driver lineup was Bruno Senna, the nephew of world champion Ayrton Senna, and Karun Chandhok. An interesting pair, as the last Indian driver in Formula One was Narain
Karthikeyan.
The last Indian driver was
Karthikeyan,
who drove for Jordan in 2005 and was absolutely shit. So hopefully this Indian driver's a lot better than the other. So was he? Nope. Although
Karthikeyan
was worse than Chandhok, Chandhok still was interesting. And so was the car. When everyone else arrived to Bahrain, including Team Lotus and Virgin, HRT only turned up with one f***ing car, while the other one was in pieces in the garage and the other was just for show. Bruno Senna was the only one that could go out in free practice and did shit. Chandhok was stuck in the f***ing garage with a car that was not built. Both did garbage in qualifying. Both had to start at the very back. When the race did actually start, Chandhok then did the most typical bullshit, which was crashing on lap 2. My dude literally crashed on the second lap of this team's debut. Bruno Senna was having a better race, still continuing, of course, at the back and overlapped, until the Cogsworth engine blew up. So in both of their starting races, they didn't even finish. In Australia, they still couldn't do anything in free practice. In qualifying, they managed to beat both Virgin drivers because, well, they're shit. The race would begin, well, in disaster for Fernando Alonso as he was spun around by Jenson Button. For Senna, this was not a very good race, as his hydraulics decided that they did not want to exist anymore, and so he was forced to retire on lap 4. Chandhok was overlapped 5 times, which pretty much tells you how shit this thing is. But surprisingly, Chandhok managed to see the checker flag, coming in 14th. Not a very good place, and no points, but hey, it's HRT, what are you going to do about it? Malaysia was a lot better for both drivers, as they both managed to finish in 16th and 15th. But for the story, that's boring as fuck. So, moving on. Maybe China will be more interesting. Oh, never mind then. Please, Spain, be interesting. Well, there you go. Senna crashed on lap 1, and on lap 18, Chantok retired due to suspension damage. Well, those who know Mr. Monaco, aka Maldonado, you would know that he crashed almost every time he came here. So would HRT do better? What a surprise. They fucking didn't. What a shocker. Chandok was actually doing very well, fighting for 14th, until the Team Lotus driver Trulli then ran into the back of him, and over him. Both drivers were okay, but HRT's first attempt to gain points ended with disaster. No thanks to a bit of Italian magic. Most of the Turkish Grand Prix was spent of both Chandok and Senna fighting each other. So while everyone else was having exciting races such as Vettel and Mark Webber colliding with each other, HRT was stuck at the back fighting amongst each other, and whenever they passed someone, it was usually because they had retired. Senna would retire on lap 45 due to hydraulic issues again, same with Chandok but 2 laps later. In Canada on lap 13, Bruno Senna's gearbox gave out the will to live, with Chandok finishing in 18th. For the first time in Formula 1, Valencia took a race, which still to this day is my personal favourite, which yet again was another boring f***ing race, because we just love seeing 2 HRTs fight each other at the back. And yet again Mark Webber is crashing, but not with his teammate this time, but with Finnish driver Heikki Kovalainen, and also doing a sweet backflip. Senna finished 20th, Chandok finished 18th. A good result, but still shit. For the British Grand Prix, Senna was dropped for Sakon Yamamoto, who was also shit. Sorry, I must have dozed off because it's another HRT fighting each other at the back of the grid. Yamamoto finished 19th, Chandok finished 20th. Poor performance for a shit race. It was at this time that people started to realise how shit HRT was, and so they lost a ton of sponsors. German Grand Prix would come with a massive shock. Senna would return. Yamamoto was changed to a first driver, and Chandok was fired. Well, he was replaced. HRT said he would return, but he never did. Yamamoto's luck would then run out, when on lap 20, his engine, once again, died. Senna finished a disappointing 19th. Hungary was another one of them HRTs fighting only each other at the back. Belgium started out boring until out of nowhere on lap 5, Senna's suspension just self-destructed. Yamamoto finished 20th. In Italy, Senna's luck would again turn against him when his hydraulics again failed. Yamamoto finished 19th. In Singapore, Yamamoto was dropped for Christian Cleven, in which both drivers didn't even finish. Japanese driver Kobayashi crashed into a wall, and then here comes Bruno Senna. And Clean retired due to hydraulic issues. Well, Yamato's back, and it's his home Grand Prix, so maybe he'll do better. Maybe. Well, doing 16th in your home Grand Prix is not that bad, so I'll give him that. Senna finished 15th. South Korea, another favourite track of mine, ended poorly and very boring. And once again, Yamamoto was dropped for Clean. This also was Senna's home Grand Prix and also his uncle's, aka Brazil, which in both drivers performed absolutely fucking poor. Senna finished 21st and Clean finished dead last in 22nd. And to finish everything off in Abu Dhabi, it was another HRT only battle, where pretty much the only interesting thing happened was the collision between Schumacher and Luizzi.
Mercedes side by side and they make contact. Michael Schumacher round. Will he? Oh!
The big smash there. It's Luizzi's gone straight into him as well. That surely will have to be the safety car, won't it? Michael Schumacher's race is over. Luizzi.
Right, 2011. And holy shit, the cars got worse. Their driver lineups would be Luizzi and... oh, f***, it's him.
Carter Kean.
Their car, sponsorless, showed up and pretty much everyone took the piss out of it. I mean, just, come on. Really? Really? Fucking really? Not only was their car a ton of mess, but their opening season race in Australia was also a mess, as both of them were disqualified and didn't start. Malaysia was another race that HRT probably wants to forget, as Karthikeyan retired on lap 8 due to water overheating. Whatever the f that means. Luizzi retired on lap 47 with 8 laps to go due to rear wing damage. In Turkey and China, both of them came dead last, so I'm not even going to go through that. In Spain, Luizzi's gearbox gave up the world, and Karthikeyan came last. In Monaco, both drivers performed and finished in the best place in HRT's history at that time, coming in 16th and 17th. Canada 2011, otherwise known as the rainiest race in history. This race is the definition of can't say shit, Captain. But surprisingly, both drivers managed to survive all the chaos. In Valencia, both finished last in 23rd and 24th, and then this happened. No, you are not tripping balls. That is Daniel Ricciardo at HRT. Why is he at HRT? Well, because Red Bull's Academy decided that would be a good place for him to start his career. And finally, I can stop saying this guy's name, as Daniel will be taking over him. In his debut race for HRT in the British Grand Prix, and would finish in 19th for his debut for both himself and the team. So, not that bad. At the same time, the team changed names from Hispanic Racing to HRT. Well, what did you expect? In Germany, Luizzi would retire on lap 37 due to electrical problems, while Daniel Ricciardo will finish in 19th. In Hungary, Luizzi would finish 20th and Ricciardo 18th. In Belgium, both drivers were having a very intense race between each other and multiple drivers. That was until Ricciardo went in for a scheduled pit stop, and then on his outlap, the car just suddenly stopped, and he was forced to retire due to an unknown technical difficulty, while Luizzi finished 19th. Italy was a complete disaster for HRT, as in the first 5 seconds, Daniel Ricciardo stalled on grid. Luizzi was then pushed onto the grass, lost control, slid, and smashed into 3 other cars, taking all 3 of them, including Luizzi himself, out of the race. Daniel Ricciardo eventually got his car moving, however by this time he was already 12 laps down. And so after 14 laps of being 12 laps down, the team just simply retired the car. In Singapore, both drivers came dead last in 21st and 20th. Japan was the same, with both of them coming last in 22nd and 23rd. South Korea was a slight improvement for Daniel Ricciardo, coming in 19th. Luizzi came in 21st. Oh god, he's back.
Carter Kean.
Is back. Due to agreement, that's definitely not for money. Karthikeyan is back for the Indian Grand Prix, taking Luizzi's spot, and they would finish in 17th and 16th. With the rumours being clear that Daniel Ricciardo is to be with Toro Rosso in 2012, HRT went into the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with their hands behind their backs, as neither car went into any of the free practice due to mechanical problems. Daniel Ricciardo was given a gift for being a driver for HRT when his alternator blew up on the last lap, and Lewis came in 20th. Right then, 2012. And apparently HRT just gave up on all sponsorships. HRT's 2012 driver lineup would be him and Paul Del La Rosta. Yet again, both would be disqualified and not start in Australia. In Malaysia and China, both of them came dead last in 21st and 22nd in both. In Bahrain, they would come dead last again, this time in 20th and 21st. In Spain, due to a wheel problem, Cavaqueira was forced to retire, with Paul Del La Rosta coming in 19th. In Monaco, Mr. Monaco smashed into the back of Paul Del La Rosta. The damage to Paul's car left him no choice but to retire, while Cavaqueira finished in 13th. Canada went absolute tits up for HRT, when lo and behold Cavaqueira spun on lap 24 and got himself stuck, when a lap later Paul then had to retire due to mechanical problems to his brakes. In Valencia they would finish in 18th and 17th, in Britain they would finish 20th and 21st, and in Germany they would finish 21st and 23rd. In Hungary, Paul finished 22nd, while he retired on lap 65 due to suspension damage. In Belgium, we had that massive crash at the beginning. Both of our drivers were uninvolved though. However, 2 laps later, he then spun, hit a wall, and a wheel fell off. In other words, he retired. Again. In Italy, they finished 18th and 19th. In Singapore, Cavaqueira would retire on lap 30 due to an accident, while Paul finished 17th. In Japan, Cavaqueira retired due to heavy vibrations. Paul finished 18th. In South Korea, it was the opposite way, with Paul retiring and Cavaqueira finishing, of course in 20th though. In India, yet again, Paul retired and Cavaqueira finished in 21st. And then in Abu Dhabi, Cavaqueira sent Nico Rosberg flying in the air. This guy's gonna give me a brain aneurysm. In US, they would come last in 21st and 22nd. And in Brazil, they would come in 18th and 17th. And with that, 2012 comes to an end. HRT are in so much financial trouble that they tried selling it to a different company, which of course no one f***ing buys, and so HRT goes up in flames. The team goes bankrupt and in 2013 announces their removal of Formula 1. 1 down, 2 to go. Hey guys, Sniper here. I just wanted to let you know that I will be doing either Caterham or Marussia in the future. And also, if my voice sounds even deeper, it is because I'm suffering with tonsillitis. But anyway, thank you for enjoying the video, and I'll see you next time.